Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and tackle the giant, hyperventilating elephant in the room, that creeping dread that you are hopelessly, embarrassingly behind on the AI trend. You know the feeling, right? You wake up, you check your feed, and boom, 40 new AI tools just dropped that can supposedly do your job, optimize your life, and, I don't know, knit a tiny sweater for your dog, all while you're still blinking the sleep out of your eyes. You're left sitting there, frantically typing help into a chatbot like a digital castaway. Well, if you feel like you're doing it all wrong, I've got some excellent news for you. You probably are. But it is completely fixable the second you shift your perspective on what this technology actually is.
And hey, if you're struggling, you are absolutely not alone. According to a recent MIT study, a whopping 95% of AI initiatives are currently failing. Just let that sink in for a second. 95%. Companies are basically setting billions of dollars on fire, while professionals are left flailing in a sea of tech bro newsletters screaming at them to learn AI or perish. But see, trying to learn AI as if it's some mystical, all-knowing, sentient brain, that is exactly why 95% of these projects are crashing and burning.
So, Section 1. The Great AI Bubble. To understand why everything is face-planting right now and how we can actually join that successful 5%, we first need to take a hard look at the totally chaotic environment we're operating in.
Because, guys, we are deeply, deeply in a bubble. It's the literal Wild West out there, complete with modern-day snake oil salesmen and frantic gold rushes. We are experiencing the exact same messy, overwhelming growing pains as the 2001 dot-com crash. Remember that? Back then, the internet had roughly 500 million users, and nobody really knew what to do with it yet, except maybe buy terrible stocks for companies that tried to sell dog food online. Today, generative AI has around 300 to 400 million users. We are in the extreme early days, which is exactly why everything feels so chaotic and why you really shouldn't panic about not having it all figured out yet.
Because honestly, this whole what on earth is happening vibe, it's not even a new phenomenon. Alan Turing, the literal godfather of computing, was trying to tell philosophers way back in the 1950s that we fundamentally misunderstand how computing and abstraction work. We kinda just assume that because we built the machine, it can't surprise us. But it does, literally every single day. And the secret to harnessing that surprise isn't to figure out how the magical brain works, it's learning how to orchestrate it.
Which brings us to Section 2. AI is the new compiler. Now this right here is the paradigm shift. Once you grasp this one specific concept, it is going to completely cure your AI overwhelm forever. I promise.
Look, AI isn't dark magic. It's simply the newest abstraction layer slapping itself onto the very top of the historical programming pyramid. Think about it. A long time ago, programmers literally had to flip physical hardware switches. Talk about a thumb workout. Then we leveled up to zeros and ones, machine code. Then assembly language, then higher-level languages like Python or Java, where one single line of code did the heavy lifting of 1,000 zeros and ones. Generative AI is just step 4. It sits right on top of Python. You're just taking an elevator one floor higher in the grand building of automation.
AI is just the new compiler. In computer science, a compiler is simply a tool that translates the code you write into actions the computer actually takes. So, instead of typing out hundreds of lines of Python to handle every bizarre little edge case in your daily workflow, you just use natural human language. You give it instructions, and the AI acts as a compiler to generate the exact programmatic output. It's doing the heavy lifting computations that used to require a team of exhausted developers chugging terrifying amounts of energy drinks.
All right, Section 3, the smart Mad Libs method. The million-dollar question is, how do we actually use this incredible new compiler to our advantage, especially if we don't want to write a single line of traditional code?
Well, you treat it exactly like a highly advanced, slightly nerdy game of Mad Libs. Remember sitting in the back of your mom's minivan, demanding a noun and an adjective, and then laughing until you snorted at the absolute nonsense you created? That childhood game is actually the fundamental secret to AI orchestration. You control the output by building a structured template, and then you just swap out specific variables. The golden rule of prompting is this. Every single prompt you ever use should have a fixed instruction part, a framework that absolutely never changes, and a blank variable part that does change. Think of the fixed part as the sturdy, load-bearing walls of a house, and the variable part as the furniture you swap in and out depending on who's visiting. The blank dog ran blank. The structure is rock solid, but those blanks, they give you infinite, scalable control. So, by taking this structure and swapping in variables from your own secure data library, you can automate thousands of unique, highly specific outputs without ever starting from scratch. You just tell the AI, you are a blank persona, please review this blank document. Boom. Suddenly, you can swap in an optimistic persona, a pessimistic persona, a legal document, a marketing pitch, all running automatically through the exact same structured pipeline. You're no longer just chatting with a bot. You're orchestrating.
Let's look at Section 4, Testing Authoritarianism at Scale. Because to prove this isn't just some nice-sounding theory in an explainer, let's look at a wild, real-world example. Using an automated script to give an AI a psychometric personality test.
We built a bespoke Python pipeline because we wanted to see how the model would react to raw, politically charged data. So we fed the AI standard questions from both the left-wing and right-wing authoritarianism tests. Now, to be crystal clear, we aren't taking any sides here, and neither was the experiment. The goal was purely, impartially scientific. We just wanted to see how the AI processes the raw data of a personality test. Would it be neutral? Would it lean a certain way?
What we quickly discovered was honestly hilarious. We found a massive favorability bias. The AI essentially gets incredibly nervous taking a personality test. It turns into a total people pleaser, desperately trying to guess the right answer that will make the user happy, rather than just giving a raw, objective response. It's basically like a candidate in a job interview, sweating bullets and saying, my biggest weakness is actually that I just cared too much.
So, how do you fix a nervous, people-pleasing AI at massive scale? You use our Mad Libs logic. We couldn't just paste the whole test into the chat window. We isolated every single question, we created a fixed prompt, and then automatically swapped out the personas and the questions 10,000 times using a script. We sent these perfectly structured, automated calls to big models like Grok or Claude. By doing this, we completely automated the workflow, bypassing the AI's bias by orchestrating the inputs with absolute surgical precision.
Which leads us nicely into Section 5, the 4 timeless rules. Because whether you're casually using ChatGPT to punch up an email or building advanced automated pipelines with Crew AI, you don't need a PhD. You just need a blueprint based on a century of proven programming logic.
These are the 4 timeless concepts you must always apply to orchestrate AI effectively. Number 1, define the role and tone. Who exactly is the AI pretending to be? Number 2, set the structure. What does the final output format look like? Number 3, add validation. How do we double-check that the AI didn't just confidently hallucinate a bunch of nonsense? And number 4, handle errors. What is the backup plan if it completely fails? Programmers have been doing this exact sequence for 100 years across every language from Fortran to Python. AI is literally no different.
When you finally stop panicking about that 95% failure rate in the AI bubble, and you start treating AI like a structural Mad Libs compiler, you take back all the control. You aren't at the mercy of some magical black box anymore, and you don't need to sweat through your shirt trying to keep up. You are the architect. You're the orchestrator, telling the compiler exactly what to build step by step.
So I want to leave you with this question to ponder today. Look at your daily tasks. Look at the stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out. What messy, repetitive, hair-pulling workflow are you going to compile with smart Mad Libs tomorrow? Because now that you know the secret, that AI is really just a shiny new compiler waiting for your structured variables, the only limit is what you choose to build next. Go out there and start orchestrating.